They say if you hear her cries, it's already too late. Tonight, we're diving into the most chilling legends whispered through generations.
La Llorona.
Or the whipping woman for my non-Spanish speakers out there. Is she a ghost, a curse, or something
Darker.
Let's find out, if you dare. A big spooky how's it going to all of you? Thank you so much for tuning in for another spooky season of the Booze and Chill Buzzcast. And today we're going to keep things spooky. We're going to keep it spooky because, as you know, it's still in the spooky season, the best times of the year. I think so. We're going to keep things spooky by talking about a very famous Latin American folktale. And the folktale we're talking about today is La Llorona, or the Whipping Woman for my non-Spanish speakers out there. So, quick little general story of La Llorona. So, basically, it was a beautiful woman who fell in love very young with a certain guy, and they were madly in love, or so she thought. And this guy betrayed her part, or I'm pretty sure they didn't use the word partner back in the day, but whatever. He betrayed her, and in her own despair, she just drowns her kids that she had with this guy. Realizing her mistake, she is cursed now, or just cursed now. I'm saying like as if it already happened or just happened. She is cursed to wander rivers and lakes forever, crying, mis hijos, mis hijos. It's in, again, for my non-Spanish speakers, that just means, oh, my children, my children. You know what I mean? So that's basically the story of La Llorona in a nutshell, right? And it's a very popular folk tale in Mexico, and the tale does have several variations of the story. You know how these stories go. It starts as the original thing, and then eventually it turns into something, completely dramatized, if I'm saying that right. So yeah, it's there's different variations of it all across Latin America, and even in the U.S. Southwest, which is basically here where I'm from. Shout out to anybody here watching or listening to the video podcast or audio podcast here in South Texas, Laredo, Texas to be exact. Shout out to all my Laredo wins if you're out there watching or listening. Let's get into the first thing here. Let's get into the origins and history of the La Llorona folk tale here. So, a little bit on that. Let's see. Origins and history. Let's get into the mythology of it. And this kind of sort of ties in with Aztec mythology. It ties into this goddess called, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. I'm just going to go ahead and put it up somewhere here up on the screen somewhere. I'm not even going to bother to try to pronounce that. So this is tied into this particular goddess who was said to weep for her lost children, foreshadowing the Spanish conquest. So that's one thing. And another thing that it also ties into the colonial Spain. The folklore on that is shaped by Catholicism, Catholicism. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that too, and colonial power struggles. That's another one, and real life cases. Some historians think the tale grew from actual tragedies where women killed their own children in despair. So this is kind of like apparently this wasn't like a new thing. So if anything, there's probably more than one Llorona out there, which would sort of explain why her cries can be heard in several parts of Mexico and uh the southern US. It kind of sort of makes sense. So if this was already like real life cases where multiple stories or multiple women would, for some weird fucking reason, kill their children, it would make sense that she as in one person is heard several parts of Mexico and stuff. Story is morphed depending on the region. Okay, and this ties into the whole white. You can hear several parts in Mexico. In Mexico, generally, a ghostly figure in a white dress. That's how she's seen or talked about. Another part in Guatemala, she might lure men to their deaths. So this one's a crazy one. So anybody who just so happens to be watching or listening my video podcast or audio podcast in translations, of course, who happens to be in Mexico or in Guatemala, let me know. And this is going to be another one in New Mexico, which is Texas around here, which again people have seen and heard around here as well. In Mexico and Texas / Texas, her cries are warning. So if you hear her far away, she is close. If you hear her close, she's already at your side. That is how the stories go here in these parts. And these parts, I mean, again, Mexico, Guatemala, New Mexico / Texas. And some claim La Llorona was heard, right before disasters, trying her to omens of death. Okay, so these are stories from these parts of South US and Mexico, Guatemala, and Mexico. So that's just a little bit of the origin stories and the origin and history of it. Let's get right on to the next one, and let's get some eyewitness tales and encounters. Now, I thought this would be a very interesting way to kind of do this video and audio podcast here. We'll talk about it, and then I'll go ahead and show some clips. Let's do some shorts where people actually caught La Llorona on camera. So let's talk about this a little bit first. Eyewitness and encounters. Some stories shared and reported over the years. Let's start with the first ones, and this was like back in the 1930s. A New Mexico family who claimed they saw a ghostly woman by an irrigation ditch. So that was in the 1930s. So let's just say this was the first sighting in the 1930s. Another one, a paranormal accounts from Texas, people waking to sobbing at riversides. Now just imagine that, just being woken up in the middle of the night. Let's just say for fun, spooky sense, 3 a.m., the witching hour. Wouldn't make sense. Waking up in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., it's dark, and you just hear a whipping woman crying, let's just say outside your window. I mean, that setting itself is creepy as it is. So In modern legends, hikers, drivers, and even children claim to see her. So, I mean, again, just you you would think just taking a nice peaceful stroll by the lake or river, it sounds like a good idea, and then suddenly you hear this screams, these moans, these cries of a woman in a distance, which apparently once you hear her, it's already too late. She's nearby, and just like in those movies, when you hear something approaching you, and just like that, they're there. Like, you're done, bro. You're done. Again, this is just based on scary movies, right? But anyways, fact, legend, twist. Excuse me. Many claim if you hear her, you should never. Let me repeat that. If you ever hear her, never answer back. And this is just legends, facts, and like it could be just the story being twisted, right? It could be just that. But remember in how the tale is told in Guatemala. She lures men to their deaths. So I mean, like, whether it's true or not, I mean, if somebody tells you not to do something, somebody who knows the story in and out, who lives in areas where the story is like so it's so famously known throughout their entire area, and that person and you go visit this place and this person tells you, hey, if you hear this, just don't, please, just don't, then just don't do it, right? Like, just okay. 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 I've seen enough horror movies to know that when somebody tells you not to do something, just don't do it. Okay. Yes, I am a very curious person. May you just don't listen to your what are they called again? The intrusive. Don't let your intrusive thoughts win. Sometimes they might win, sometimes they don't. But you really try your hardest when it comes to this. Okay. Anyways, so if you do happen to live around these areas, just remember, dim your lights, and just keep it chill. Just keep it chill. All right. All right, then. Now that we talked a little bit about eyewitness tales, what do you say? We open up some actual clips here, some actual clips, and see what exactly did people catch. So give me a second here. Okay, guys, here's one short clip of what is supposed to be La Llorona, the whipping woman, caught on camera. Let's check this out. I mean, so far, not so much. We hear more. I hear more dogs than anything else. But this is only a little bit over halfway. So let's see what else it catches. Okay, that time I actually heard it. That last part, I'm gonna go ahead and forward it to the last part. If you listen closely, you hear a woo, not the dogs howling, but the actual weeping. It's kind of echoey. It's kind of echoey. Let's switch to a secondary one. All right, here we go. We got another clip here. This one has some voiceovers. It's again, this is just a short. Let's go ahead and watch it and see what exactly was caught on this one here.
Hide your kids. This eerie footage comes from a guy in Mexico who captured something deeply unsettling in the early hours of the morning. The boy explained that he had been asleep when he suddenly heard crying from downstairs. Rushing to his window to investigate, he was met with a chill.
And listen to that. He ran downstairs to investigate. And just like how the tale is told in Guatemala, like how it said, do not respond to it. This kid, and it was a kid who decided to go and investigate. Again, I totally get it. Your intentions, your curiosity might win you sometimes, but in this situation, like you, I don't know. It depends on the person, right? It depends on the person. But let's jump back into this thing. See what exactly happens.
Chilling sight. A woman in a white dress was sobbing while holding something in her hands.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. This one just seems a little too on the nose. As in, this is just an actor. This is just an actor.
The video quickly went viral, with many suggesting that this could be a real sighting of La Llorona, the weeping.
La Llorona. Okay, then that probably was not the best one. Let's do one more. Let's do one more and see something that actually will convince us. Like, okay, this seems a little real. Okay, here we go. This will be the last one, and this one seems to be, again, has a voiceover and it has a guy. Again, this is just a short, but this one seems to be a lot more on the nose, and there's no actual woman in a dress. You just clearly hear the cries and the moanings in distances, and actually it doesn't even sound that far at all. So I'm gonna go and play it so you guys can see hear and see for yourself.
He heard screaming coming from the forest, but as he went to check, this happened. A man who lives in Veracruz, Mexico was watching TV late one night when he begins to hear the haunting screams of a woman somewhere nearby. The man decides to check out the source of the sounds.
Well, I don't know if you guys heard that part, but that part is interesting. You actually clearly you're able to actually tell what's an animal sound, in this case a dog, and an actual something else. I don't want to say human because we're talking about the Llorona here. And the Llorona is not exactly alive, so let's keep playing this thing.
Walking to a nearby church with his dog, little did he know something horrifying would be captured.
Okay, that part was not as clear, but you do hear something, and they put it in subtitles, I guess we could say, but you can hear something out there.
A woman weeping can be heard saying what sounds like mis niños.
All right, and that's just a little bit of eyewitness encounters caught on video. So let's move. Now that was fun. That part was fun. Let me know in the comments down below, whether it be YouTube or the tubes as I call it, Spotify. Let me know what do y'all think so far. And if you all have your own encounters, please send in your stories. I want to do an episode where we talk about, like I did last year, where we talked about true encounter stories. And I want to do that again. Send in your alls stories, whether video, please don't be shy, video or audio, send it to the email that I will be posting in the show notes down below. Now that we've gone through that, let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of symbolism and cultural impact. La Llorona can represent several things. Okay, a cautionary tale for children to stay away from rivers at night. I think that kind of sort of plays a huge role when it comes to Mexican parenting, mostly just Mexican parenting, because um, Mexican parents are a bit more on how can I say, compared to other race of parenting. When it comes to Mexicans parenting their children, it's rough around the edges, to say the least. But they do use a lot of ways to discipline their kids. One being by scaring them, and not only is it effective, but it's also hilarious. Let me know out there, if y'all are Mexican parents, how do you discipline your kids? The La Llorona has been used to scare kids away, and not just from like staying away from rivers and stuff like that. I'm talking like to just making them stop, right? Just making them stop. Yeah, they use those type of tactics to make the kids just like to discipline them in a with good intentions, right? With good intentions. One of the most also big famous ones is uh Chucky. Chucky is also one of those, again, that was used a lot. That's the one that I heard the most as I was growing up. Like they would say stuff like, "Oh, va a venir Chucky por ti." Like in translation, that means Chuck is gonna come for you. So Chucky kind of sort of took the place of La Llorona, at least for when I grew up. But anyways, another way uh that can symbolize or impact is stories of grief, betrayal, and the consequences of rage. I mean, the story itself. I mean, the story is not exactly the most best, and I mean that in the sense that like a lot of fucked up things happen to this woman, and yeah, it does touch on a lot of all of that, the betrayal and the consequences of rage. Like, I mean, that's why you shouldn't be losing your shit and doing stuff like what this chick did, and grief and betrayal and all that. So it all represents all of that. Another thing that also impacts on is the colonial story of mixing native myths with Spanish morality. Her impact on pop culture, and there's been movies. We had The Curse of La Llorona. I did not watch this movie, and the reason why I haven't watched it is because I saw the ratings, and I saw the comments, I saw the reviews, and it's kind of funny. Most of the comments came from Mexicans, Latinos, Hispanics, and all of this, all of these people came from a certain uh, background where they know the story, they know La Llorona, and all the things that I read about this movie was like they just got it completely wrong. And for Mexican, Latino, Hispanic, whatever you consider yourself, to say no, this is not right, then you know it's not right. I mean, it's a folk tale that's like I said, been famously passed on for generations, and for them to just completely mess it up kind of says a lot. But I also believe in just going into it and just seeing it for myself and kind of just giving my own feedback, like what I think about it. So I guess you could say that I now have a movie to watch because, I got to give it a chance, right? Like I come from the same background. So maybe, it could be different. I don't know. But, anyways, and apparently, I don't, and I just talked about this on a live a while back. I'll go ahead, maybe I'll leave a link to that live there as well. Apparently she's also been in parts of the Conjuring universe. I mean, let me know if you know which Conjuring from the series that the Llorona has been in. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, there's been creepy looking ghostly demonic woman in there. I wouldn't have considered it to be La Llorona, but I don't know. Let me know which one it is because I'm not entirely sure. Another thing that has impacted and have cultural impacts. I mean, songs. There has been several songs, and to be quite honest with you, I don't think I've heard them, or maybe I have. I'm not entirely sure. Songs, plays, and of course, modern ghost stories. And I think there might be tours. I think. I'm not entirely sure. Let me know in the comment sections on whether on the tubes or Spotify if you know if there's such a tour for places where La Llorona seems to wander. Let me know in the comment sections right down below, guys. Please. It'd be interesting to know. Uh, why do we keep telling her story after hundreds of years? Why do we keep doing it? Is it because she represents universal fears, loss, guilt, the unknown of the dark? To be honest, I think we continue telling her stories because, and I covered this. I didn't cover exactly stories, but I covered horror movies. The reason why we keep doing this to ourselves is because we secretly seem to enjoy scaring ourselves in some sort of way. And again, I touched on this a little bit when it comes to how horror movies affect us. I'll go ahead and leave that in the description in the show notes down below as well. But that's what I think why we also keep doing that. And I think that's it for the symbolism and cultural impact. Let's dive in to one of the last things here that I want to cover on La Llorona. Let me know in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think so far. And also, please, another reminder: if you got true stories, send them my way. Record yourselves video telling the story. Send it to me. And again, if you're a shy person, just record it on your phone. You got that recorder on there, and send it. I want to do another one of these for a podcast. So there's that. Anyways, let's continue on with this. Let's just talk about chilling facts and theories. There's some beliefs that let's say she kidnaps wandering children and drags them into rivers. That's some a theory. Like, obviously this is a theory. As far as La Llorona stories go, I've never heard. I've also never heard of I mean it's rumored, or at least that's how the stories go in Guatemala, that she lures adult men to their deaths because of her hatred towards her partner. So she hates it sounds like some crazy feminist ghost or demon, whatever you want to call her, who just hates men, right? But that's Guatemala. But there's also that she kidnaps children and drags them to the rivers and obviously, drowns them. And that's one belief or theory, however you want to take it. Others claim she appears to drunks just wandering around or unfaithful men. Well, I guess drunk and unfaithful guys kind of go hand in hand, right? Again, I think this is part of the stories that they tell in Guatemala, because I mean that's their thing there, that she takes men to their deaths. So if you happen to be kind of an ass and you're drunk walking nearby water, you're probably gonna go missing. So my question is, what if you're not a deadbeat and you're just having a good time? I'm gonna use myself in the example. If I'm just having a good time, having a few drinks by water, would she take my ass? That's a good question, I think. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Would she take me? Would she take you? Would she take you? This is going out to the guys because this only affects the guys. Would she take you? Leave your comments in the comment box. Paranormal investigators believe the crying isn't a ghost, but a natural sound phenomenon mistaken for her wails. So this kind of sort of comes from skeptics and stuff like that, because there is such a thing as animals that sound creepy, that sound like a screaming person, woman, man, thing, whatever. It's been recorded. There's facts. There's science behind it. But there's also ways for nature to also, make their own noise, whether it's like wind blowing in certain directions and certain angles through like caves, trees, stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff to think about when it comes to this, and I understand where they're coming from. So there's obvious and rational explanations to a lot of things, but again, this is just one belief and stuff like that. So there's also that. But on the other hand, you could be just, again, in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you're actually in the middle of something that you cannot even fathom, and you're just fucked. You're just fucked. But that's another way. Again, the other way is, it's just the wind doing blah 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 blah, and an animal, whatever. But again, like I said, you never know. You never know, man. You never know. A weird fact: in some places, people say her cries, excuse me, don't come from her mouth. They come from the other end. I'm kidding. But from everywhere around you, making it impossible to locate her. And that kind of sort of backs up my theory, how I mentioned earlier, that there were certain times where apparently it was a thing for women to drown their children. It's fucked up. I know it sounds completely fucked up, but that backs up my theory, how it says that they're not necessarily coming from just her, but from everywhere around you. And again, this backs up my theory that maybe it's not just La Llorona. There's multiple, so they would be La Lloronas, or whipping women, MEN. because again, apparently in some time in history that was like a thing, that it was like when women would get upset and they would just kill, apparently. Again, this is just like old facts, or well, yeah, facts. So it backs up my theory saying that there is more than one. There's more than one Llorona. So, and because you hear in certain parts of Mexico and southern Texas, it makes sense, because if she can be heard all over this certain areas, it just makes sense that there's more than one. Could be, could not be. You let me know in the comment boxes down below. What do you think? Do you think my theory makes sense? Or is this like one of those ghosts or demons where she's just able to just appear at any time and anywhere, wherever she pleases? Again, let me know in the comment box down below. Let's close this off. Let's wrap things up here. Do you believe the Llorona is real? Or is she just a story parents tell that got carried too far? Leave your all's questions, comments. Again, if you have a story to tell, doesn't have to be La Llorona. Excuse me. It could be anything. Bigfoot, aliens, zombies. I don't know. If you have a true encounter story, please send them my way. But as far as La Llorona goes, so if you're just happen to be around a body of water, just having a good time, having a few drinks, and this kind of sort of goes out to the guys, right? So if you are out there just enjoying yourself, just be careful, man, because if you hear the cryings by there, and especially at night, will you check it out? Will you check it out? Will you go out there and check it out? Or will you keep walking? Again, let me know in the comments down below, guys. That is pretty much it for today's video podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. And thank you all for sticking around this long. Once again, let me know your true encounter stories. Send them out my way so we can do another episode where we talk true encounter stories. And like I said, leave your all's comments on La Llorona. Tell me your version that you've heard. And also let me know where is this story coming from. But that is it for that, guys. Thank you so much. And I will catch you guys in the next one. And remember, if you keep watching, I'm going to keep drinking and telling them creepy stories while spooky season's still around. Thank you all for watching, and see you in the next episode. Peace.